Scott Abraham from ABC7. Hey, Scott.
Good morning, boys. EB jumping off the ledge yet?
Yeah.
Oh, he's right there on the edge.
He's there.
Yeah. I'll tell you that I was really disheartened to see Terry not at practice yesterday. It kind of took me aback. I actually like Noah Brown when he's available, and I was ready for him. And then he was pulled back and ended up putting on IR. And now with this Terry news, especially after DQ said he expected to see him practice all week, then make a determination sort of at the end of the week, I was just kind of taking it as a given that he would probably be active this week. Now I just feel like doom and gloom. I mean, Samuel's out too, and Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, how many guys can you honestly afford to lose?
I hear you, and I think it was a surprise to most of us on the beat to see Terry McLaurin a no-show yesterday because, as you mentioned, Dan Quinn verbally said it on Wednesday that the plan is that Terry McLaurin was going to practice all week. So there had to have been some kind of a setback, or Terry doesn't think the quad's right. So I'm not expecting Terry McLaurin to play on Sunday because of what Dan Quinn said on Wednesday, saying he was going to practice all week. He did not practice at all yesterday. In terms of Debo, I think this heel is going to be an issue throughout the season. It's just about pain management. Remember, last week he didn't practice that much, limited. Was kind of a game-time decision leading up to the Monday night game against the Bears. He played, maybe not as effective, but I still think Debo's going to play on Sunday. Dorrance Armstrong, that's another kind of key. Obviously, he's been the best pass rusher for the Commanders. I don't know yet on Dorrance. I think it's going to, be determined today if he's on the practice field, if he's going to be practicing or not, and hearing from Dan Quinn. But that would be a huge loss if Dorrance can't go on Monday. But clearly, injuries are mounting. You know the phrase that everybody says, everybody's dealing with injuries in the NFL. Somebody's got to step up. I'd love to see more maybe of a ball control type of an offense against Dallas, run the football. Maybe Sam Cosmi comes back. Kind of assert your physicality, time of possession, and try to keep that Cowboys offense off the field.
All right, so we know that it's a heel that's bothering Samuel. Do we have more specifics? Like, does he have plantar fasciitis or something?
Yeah, it's pretty vague right now. There's no, medical diagnosis like specific, plantar fasciitis or Lisfranc, whatever those various ones are. Turf toe, you could go down the list. Nothing specific, but we visually saw Debo moving around the locker room yesterday. He wasn't talking, but he was, with the guys in the locker room. So same type of deal that we've, experienced over the last couple of weeks with Debo, whereas Terry McLaurin was a no-show on the practice field and a no-show in the locker room. So I tend to think Debo, it's the type of situation, pain management, trying to be smart, trying to be as effective as he can. So I think he'll play on Sunday. But again, this might be an issue that's going to be lingering all season long.
Do we know when he injured it? Did he injure it in L.A. in the Charger game, or was it after that? Do you have any idea on that?
That's a good question. I think it might have happened in the Rams game, not the Rams game. Excuse me, the Chargers game in L.A. But there's no specifics to my knowledge of when exactly that injury took place. And he's such a big part of this offense, and he didn't seem right per se against the Bears. I guess he wasn't having those splash plays or the effectiveness. You just got to hope they just manage his pain, and he's got to be out there, obviously, with no Terry McLaurin if that's the situation. Are you going to lean on Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane as your two guys at wide receiver? I hope not, because that'd be a difficult set of circumstances. So I'm in the belief that Debo is going to play on Sunday, and it's just all about pain management and figuring out what works best for Debo.
Hey, Scott, how has Bill's mental state been in the wake of games with back-to-back fumbles? We saw the shots of him on the sideline during the Bears game where he was clearly frustrated, and you just saw it on his face that he was distraught at the fumbling. What's he been like at the park this week?
Yeah, great question. I asked that question specifically to Bill on Wednesday. There's the physical part of all this, but there's also the mental side, right? You don't want this to get into your head. You don't want to be thinking about holding onto the football when you're hitting the hole. And he understands that, and he knows that he has to be better. But he really appreciated his teammates kind of lifting him up and saying, you got this, you got this. And I had a side conversation with him yesterday, and I was like, off camera, I was like, Bill, how you doing? And he looked at me, he's like, thank you for asking me that. I really appreciate it. And he was just, he knows that he let the team down, but he's going to bounce back. He knows there's an opportunity ahead of him on Sunday against the Cowboys team that's very porous defensively, and this could be a type of a game where you really rely on this offensive line. Hopefully you get a Sam Cosmi back, and you really just kind of pound this football, time of possession. I think that's the way to beat this Cowboys team on Sunday, boys. You want to limit the opportunities this Cowboys offense has, because I'm not fairly confident that this Washington defense will be able to get 3 or 4 stops in this football game. So it's going to be up to this offense and Bill and maybe Jaden's legs a little bit as Zach Ertz to really kind of control this clock and get in 3rd and shorts, 3rd and manageables, and keep these drives going.
Scott, I love Bill and what he's brought to the team, obviously, but Jeremy McNichols, the opportunities he's been given, not a lot rushing the ball, 13 carries. He's averaged 9 yards per carry. Like, do they envision expanding his role at all? I mean, maybe not take a ton away from Bill, but maybe take a little bit of pressure off Bill by giving McNichols a few more carries.
Yeah, that wasn't a question that was specifically asked, but that might be one to roll out today, because that's a good point. But to the coaching staff's credit, guys, they've stuck behind Bill, right? On the fumble against the Chargers, they brought him back out the next series. On the fumble against the Bears, they brought him back out next series. So I'm in the court where until this becomes a real issue, fumbling, multiple games back to back to back, then we might see the leash getting pulled a little bit. But I think they still have confidence. They see the talent, they see the drive, they see the motivation Bill brings to this table. So for now, I think Bill's going to be the guy. But certainly doesn't hurt to have mixed in a McNichols, a veteran guy that has seen a lot of different situations in football.
So, Scotty, getting back to the receivers,
Yep.
Terry's not going to play. Let's just assume Debo does play. Okay, so you're going to have Debo, you're going to have the young guys, Chris Moore. Which guys or guy off the practice squad do you think they'll bring up? Do you think they'll bring up Burks, or will they stick with Tay Martin or someone like that?
If it's just Terry that's missing, I don't necessarily think they're going to bring anybody up, because it'll be the same situation as has been the last couple of games. Now, if Debo was out, then that's a situation where they might have to elevate somebody. So obviously you mentioned Treylon Burks. They just signed him last night. Again, that'll be a situation where you don't generally bring somebody, sign somebody and then put them on the active roster. I think it'll be a week or two for him to get acclimated, get used to their system in the offense. It's a similar offense that he used in his college days. So they're taking a flyer on Burks. I don't know what the expectation is, but they need some depth, obviously, at the wide receiver position. They got Robbie Chosen still on the practice squad. So Ja'Cory Brooks is still on the practice squad. So those are guys, if need be, they'll elevate. And I figure maybe Ja'Cory Brooks would be the first one elevated if Debo can't go.
Talking to Scott Abraham, ABC 7 sports director and anchor. He's out at the park every day. Now, we're taking a lot of calls from people that are becoming increasingly frustrated with Joe Witt, the defense coordinator. What can he do to change some things around here for a defense that's been struggling that now faces a very explosive offense?
Yeah, and to Joe Witt Jr.'s credit, yesterday, he was asked about the pressure and the outside noise, and he says he gets it, he embraces it, and he knows they have to be better. He mentioned the missed tackles of, they just got to get a 1% better, and they'll be in the top 10. So he mentioned it's very small margins in the NFL, and this defense is right there. But you're right, this is a matchup that concerns me, and I'm with EB. I'm with you guys. Like I worry about Pickens. I worry about a CeeDee Lamb coming back. Jake Ferguson is the one that can really be a killer. So if you're in that zone and not playing man coverage, that's the perfect zone buster right there with a Jake Ferguson. And Dak Prescott loves targeting a Jake Ferguson. So I think the key is where you can get these stops, guys. I would love some turnovers, right? Maybe get 1, maybe get 2. Get those turnovers. That's just a huge switching of the field that can be beneficial to the outcome of this game. Get some pressure on Dak. No Dorrance Armstrong. Okay. Who's going to get that pressure? Will Dorrance be out there on the field? That's a big question mark. So who's going to get that pressure on Dak? But you got to be very careful of when you bring pressure and when you don't bring pressure, especially if you're exposing a Marshawn Lattimore on the outside with a CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. So I think from a matchup perspective, the advantage between the Dallas offense against the Washington defense, I think Dallas offense certainly has a huge advantage in this matchup.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. What's the status of Eddie Goldman?
That's a good question. The defensive tackle, obviously, he popped up on the injury report. We'll get more on that as well. But I think from a defensive front standpoint, the defensive tackles, they got some good depth there. So if Eddie can't go, I'm pretty confident with the tandems of Kinlaw and Payne, and then you have Johnny Newton. So there's guys there to fill the void. But again, that's something to monitor, and we'll know more on Friday. Actually today, with when Dan Quinn talks to us. So this injuries it's a pain, guys, and I know fans are frustrated, and I think the coaching staff is frustrated as well, because in these type of situations, you just kind of have to throw your hands up and be like, we got to move on. You can't dwell on it. And
right.
They were so fortunate last year. Last year, they didn't really have these type of injuries, and you saw what happened. So it's unfortunate the injury bug has really hit this team so early on in the season.
But, in parts of the team, they haven't had that many injuries. All right, let's talk about the secondary, which has struggled, right? So a lot of people hate on Marshawn Lattimore, although I think he's had a couple of decent games here recently. Sanders still doesn't seem to be playing as well as he did last season.
Yeah.
Amos has been pretty good for a rookie. What do you see from the secondary? Because you're facing Pickens and CeeDee Lamb potentially.
You're right on Marshawn, JP. He did a really nice job last week against the Bears, and he graded out very well, and I thought it was probably one of his best games this season. I thought Sanders still has had a little bit of a drop off. I feel like offenses have been picking on him a little bit. Amos has been as advertised. He's been tremendous. I think you could argue he's the best player back there in the secondary. Quan Martin, he's obviously been in kind of the crosshairs this week because of the missed tackle, but for the most part, you go back to that Chargers game, he made that game-changing play that kind of swung the momentum. And then the other safety position, I think they really miss Will Harris. Reeves has done good. Keep your eye on Darnell Savage. His snaps have been on an uptick. I think he had 27 snaps against the Bears, and I saw some all-22 tape of Darnell in that Bears game, and he had some really good plays. So I think they're going to give him more of a look and maybe some more snaps in the coming weeks. So this is a secondary that's really harped on communication. A lot of guys I talked to in the locker room, that's the buzzword they use, communication. And I asked, Darnell Savage specifically, what exactly does that mean for listeners and viewers? And he just says the anticipation of knowing what's coming, getting in the right spots ahead of time. So watching that film and knowing what's coming. So again, they're going to be tested. Pickens and Lamb, it's not going to be an easy test for them.
Scotty, I know that when you talk to coaches and players, they just kind of focus week to week on who they're playing. But we have talked about the next 3 or 4 games and how this Dallas game is, even though it's only week 7, it's kind of a must win, because if you look at the history of teams that have made the playoffs, you got to get to that 10-win mark. Now, it's happened one time with the Packers 2 years ago with 9. But if you get to 10, you're pretty much a lock to get to the playoffs. So that means they would have to go 7-4 down the stretch. But they got the Chiefs, the Seahawks, and the Lions after this game. How do you think that they're looking at this game, and how do you see it? Do you think it's a must-win based on the rest of the schedule?
So, in my experience, and I don't even dare anymore, they will not talk about going down the road, right? They will not talk about, oh, is this a big game because of what the schedule, awaits? No, they're strictly focused on the Cowboys. But this coaching staff, these players, they're not dumb. They understand what lies ahead with, you mentioned, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Lions, and then the Dolphins and the bye hits. So this is a big game. There's still a lot of football left, but this is one of those, I felt like the Chargers game a couple of weeks ago was a big one to kind of right the ship. But then they came back and dropped one against the Bears. But to their credit, guys, it's been a zigzag start. But every time they have lost the game this season, they have come back the following week with a win. So you just got to have that belief in this coaching staff and these players that they've done a really good job of responding and bouncing back from adversity and from a loss. And you just got to expect they're going to give them, their best shot. They talk about they're happy it's a short week this week because they want to get right back on the saddle and go to work and get that sour taste out of their mouth. So this is a big, big game because you have to go to Arrowhead next week on a Monday night and then back on Sunday Night Football for a really good Seahawks team that's tremendous on the road. So I don't want to call it a must-win so early in the season, but this is a big one because 4-3 versus 3-4, that's a big difference with a trip to Kansas City on the horizon next week.
And EB is distraught because you just ripped off a bunch of later games, Sunday night games, Monday night games, no 1 o'clock games.
I like the 1 o'clocks.
Not till December, boys. I don't think.
Yeah,
December 7th against Minnesota is the next 1 o'clock game. All right, so give us your prediction.
I'm going to go high scoring, 31-27 Commanders. They go on the road, another bounce back win. That's what they're all about. You drop a game and they come back and win the next week. I think they're going to win 31-27.
Ooh, I like it. I
hope that happens. That would be nice.
Does Debo have a good weekend?
Does Debo have a big game in your opinion?
Debo does not have a big game. I think it's going to be a Zach Ertz and a Bill show. I think Zach Ertz could be the pivotal layer here.
Zach Ertz.
Right.
Yep.
All right,
Bill
thank you,
show.
Scott. Appreciate it as always, buddy.
He says the Bill show. I've been trying to get this bet out of you, Cakes. Can I take under?
Nah, I've already got one bet on that game. I'm good. I'm good with the. I can't even remember what I bet on.
Give the stat again about what Dak has done at home against us.
I'd have to.
Is it
check
Ticket with
17
17 touchdowns, no picks.
He's
6-0.
6-0 at AT&T Stadium, 17 tutties, 0 pickles
against the Skins?
against the Skins. Yeah,
Yeah, those are stupid numbers.
It's not great.
Just got to
It's
play
great
him
for him. It's not great for
Somebody else
Commanders.
been tweeting that, or you just unearthed that nugget yourself?
I mean, it was on ESPN.com. It's not like I had to Indiana Jones it and like go into a cave to find it.
I mean, that's enough to make you want to puke.
Yeah,
Did it give you diarrhea?
It's not encouraging.
All right, when we come back, we want to hear from you. What do you think happens? Let's hear from Commanders fans. Does Washington
predictions?
bounce back and get a win?
But score prediction.
Yeah, let's
At
do that.
least one nugget.
Since we're talking about it now, let's do it.
And at least one nugget, how you got to that prediction.
I said Jalen Lane. I don't feel great confidence, but a Jalen Lane incoming game.
Breakout game.
I think, EB, you went with, who'd you go with?
Bill.
Bill?
If we win.
I went with the lesser McCaffrey.
And Jason believes in
The
Chris
only one we
Moore
got.
somehow.
I don't
Jason's
really
the one
believe
Chris
him.
Moore guy on the planet.
Yeah.
But if Debo's not going to play, and Terry's not going to play, who are you going to throw to?
If you're relying on Chris Moore, you are drawing dead.
Yeah.
It's
Do
not
you
great.
think Washington wins? Look, most of the people on our Twitter poll believe Washington wins the game. 1-800-636-1067. We're the Junkies. Coming right back.